Hello everybody and welcome back to the Mechabellum Ladder Climb. It's me, your boy Joe. Thank you so much for all the support on the channel. I have appreciated those people who have liked, commented, and subscribed. It really helps a small channel like this. Anyways, this video, or this match, is very important to our ladder climb. So I am talking to you guys from the future / past. I played this round, as you can tell by this little guy here. Anyways, I picked up the Marksman Specialist mostly because I like Fang and Steel Ball. I think it's pretty fun. Early game, it protects your flanks quite well. You have air to ground, and you have some good single point damage. My opponent is coming in with the Giant Specialist. Not a very common specialist at this point. We did see a lot of Giant Specialists in the past. In fact, that used to be one of the strongest, if not the strongest, specialist in the game. Now it's more, at least in my mind, it's more about your early starting units. I'd much rather have some early game units that can deal with the enemy as opposed to the specialist. But obviously there are some specialists that are greater than others. Specifically the ones that seem to drop units are worth quite a bit. I'm going to speed it up a bit here. My little gun line's doing their job. Get 'em, boys! Do 4 Fang, 5 Fang, kill a sniper? Yeah, cool. And they did it with a little bit of room to spare. So here comes my marksman. I was really debating about whether to keep this guy. We both instantly grabbed Stormcallers just because they're very good. Both of our armies are moving fairly slowly and grouping up quite a bit. I like it. It seems like a good play. This is the thing with the Giant Specialist, is it's very hard to know when to transition to the Giants, but oftentimes it's a win more specialist in my mind. So if I'm playing the Giant Specialist, I'm often unlocking Giants when I'm already winning a considerable amount, which probably isn't the way that you want to be playing them. Wow, this marksman's being quite lucky, able to survive a ton of those Stormcaller shots because of that level, and even taking out some of those Stormcallers. I like that for me a lot. We got this one in the bag, I feel like, this round. It's been a day since I played this match, so I might not remember everything. Bear with me. But overall, things are going well. I am kind of nervous about when my opponent is going to start playing Giants, just because I don't really have great Giant killing at this point. This I was really interested in. There just wasn't any reason to have it at this point, that being the Marksman, just because I didn't see anything that could really hurt me. My opponent goes with the Flame. That's terrifying. But I played out my units, and I thought to myself, okay, I need a little bit more chaff. I think that's a good idea. I can get 3 of them, and then, yeah, just work from there. But I had money left over. So I ended up grabbing these missile interceptors just because I didn't think my opponent would be able to deal with my chaff if I got rid of them. Also, I wanted to pull away these flanks. I don't know about this Stormcaller unit just yet, but I figured, hey, if I can pull away this sniper and maybe whatever other units he has on this flank, I'll do that. He's very far forward, and this is actually working out quite well. Pulling away a sniper and these Stormcallers, these little guys will be able to get in here and do some damage. Wasps are coming in on the flank. I do lose this right side very hard, but a lot of my chaff is surviving, thanks to these missile interceptors. They're doing quite well for me here, actually. Should be able to get the tower. That leaves a big collapse here towards the center. Worth noting, I would have thought that the missile interceptors would burn if they're inside that fire. Turns out they don't. Kind of cool. I would not have expected that, but hey, those little crawlers that could, on the flank, dealing tons and tons of damage. We have not seen that Giant come out yet, but it is something I'm very aware of. I've also now become fairly aware of my opponent's lack of air. 2 Farseers for free is $600, plus that unlock. I do like that quite a bit. I grabbed the missile interceptors on the Farseers as well, just in case these guys ever get overloaded or I lose a round. I have the ability to protect them now, or protect my army a little bit. I also figured I'd buckle down on this flank because oftentimes the opponent will just play a missile, and although a single missile isn't a bad response to these crawlers, having more of them can't hurt me. So my opponent does the big sandworm transition. I was not expecting that. Very fun. That's the giants I was nervous about this whole time. They will get held up for quite a while fighting my my units here, but I'm not in a good position because of that. Luckily, my little Farseer will shut down the enemy Farseer. So if you ever want to kill enemy Farseers, just grab the Missile Interceptor. Completely negates their damage in most cases. Will we win that? We do. Problem is, they're sandworms. I'm not really too sure how I'm dealing with the sandworms at this point. Steel Balls, level 2, could do quite a bit of work here, especially while these sandworms are weakened. And it looks like they will be enough for now. Now, of course, if those sandworms start spawning larvae, that's going to be very difficult for me to deal with. Those larvae are just a great answer to the Steel Balls because they tend to pop out in front of and slightly to the side of the sandworm, which kind of pulls your Steel Balls out of position so that the enemy unit or the enemy sandworm can hit it at the same time. My opponent grabs the Lightning Storm. Oof. I grabbed the Battleship. I was just thinking about the cash. Like, you know, I'll save some money. If I play this guy on this flank, he can probably take out these sandworms for me while I'm dealing with this opponent. More Steel Balls just to deal with more giants. I was also thinking about giving them the Mechanical Division. I didn't have the cash, so I decided to instead grab a third unit. Trying to think about what that unit will be. I did unlock Arc Lights just because it was free. And if my opponent went very heavily into a lot of chaff to support these sandworms, I was thinking about using some Arc Lights. Or if he just started playing some crawlers on my flanks to slow me down, having a couple of Arc Lights there couldn't hurt. I do play some Steel Balls here, just because I think that the opponent's just going to leave these sandworms here to deal with my crawlers. I was not expecting him to play this missile, especially when I have this Missile Interceptor. We do see more sandworms, though. That will cut off my ability to deal with this flank. I'm not going to invest too much more heavily into these flanks, I don't think. I don't really need to. Now might be the time to grab a couple of more snipers, but we shall see. They're doing okay. My one little guy's doing all right. This Overlord's really putting in the heavy work on this flank for me because there was no way I could deal with those sandworms without it. I don't think it's killed one, but it is going to kill that tower for me, which will slow this down maybe enough for my guys to make a significant comeback. Hard to tell. We're dealing good damage, though, to that sandworm. Ooh, the Steel Ball is living its best life. Unfortunately, there is still a third sandworm to deal with. Going to need some giants of my own, specifically melting points, if I want to take these guys down. I don't really see any other option. They're great at fleeing from melting points and Steel Balls, though. Speed this up, make life a little bit easier for the viewing experience. This guy's saving me a lot of HP. Maybe another 200? Yeah, nice. I wish he'd killed these two sandworms, but gee Louie. Woo, it's still at 200%. So I do get my my answer here. A couple of melting points. I do add on a Farseer just to help deal with some chaff. You have to be careful about that 2x speed. My opponent's now starting to upgrade his sandworms. I have a bit of cash left over, and I'm really debating about giving these guys the range or the energy absorption. I start recycling my units on the flank just because this Farseer isn't going anywhere. This missile's enough to take care of these units already, so I'd rather have that $300 so I could play out a couple more units. In this case, a third Farseer for myself, just so that way I can help take care of some of these chaff units, because I am very nervous about my melting points getting online. I decided to hold off on giving them an upgrade just now because there's only 2 of them. I figure I'll wait until I have 4 and then start purchasing heavily into it. Man, those Steel Balls, though, they started to do some work. Not a ton, but they started. We've basically shut down, oh, I don't know, maybe half of the enemy Stormcaller shots, whereas mine are still going in and landing. Granted, the tanks have gotten significantly tougher, so that's something I need to worry about, but I don't want to get rid of all of my units on this flank. just because I do want these sandworms coming in after the majority of the fight is done. That way my melting points can do damage to them. But this is what I'm talking about. It just popped up, instantly started working down my melting point, and that's a big problem for me. For now, though, the melting points are holding fairly strong. This guy's doing his best to deal with those sandworms, but that's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a real rough one. Both towers drop basically at the same time. No real worries there. And now the question is, can my melting point get online in time to deal with the enemy units? Probably, just because there's enough Farseers and things in front of it to shoot down. Well, not anymore. Okay. Well, that didn't end up as well as I would have liked. As long as the melting point starts shooting, which without that range, it's not great. But this looks like it might go my way still. Blammo. Definitely helped. That was the right unit at the right time dropping. Now, my hypothesis behind picking up this Mustang production is that these guys are dropping larvae, but if my Mustang are kind of all distributed out throughout the field, it will help them surface, and having them surface will allow my melting points to get online a little bit sooner. I've also noticed that my Stormcallers seem to be dealing a ton of damage to the enemy units, and there hasn't really been a response to that. So if I can clear away all of this chaff, I'm giving my melting points more time to come online and deal that damage, and I'm not investing super heavily into my melting points just yet. I'm going to let my opponent maybe build some more giant units, some more sandworms, and then go very heavily into the melting points. But for now, I'm saving my money, kind of distributing things out. I wanted to see if this missile might catch him out. If I can hit those tanks and the Stormcallers behind, I think that's worthwhile. I think my opponents realize that I'm winning the chaff wars a little bit, so he grabs that range on the Arclights. Not a bad choice. It'll just help deal with all of my little crawlers, but most of my Gribblies are going to die this round. But at this point, I feel pretty good. I did burn the Midnight Oil just because I wanted to get these upgrades in on these Stormcallers. And it looks like that does actually make a significant difference. Killing off the majority of those Stormcallers is very, very useful to me. Farseer able to absorb a ton of damage from this level 3 Arclight. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Just if my Farseer's taking hits, that means my chaff isn't. This is a big issue. There's a lot of these guys on the field now. This level 3 Farseer will be able to take like 1 or 2 hits. And importantly, it's acting as something that can take a hit for my melting points to come online and deal damage. But they're not great at dealing with these sandworms, because the moment those sandworms bury, we're in a tough spot. This is working out a little bit better, though. Look how many Mustangs we have on the field now, just to absorb damage for us. And they pump out pretty quick, every 11 seconds. That is not bad. That's a lot of Mustangs here to help support us, and there's no way for these sandworms to deal with the wasps. So, small technicality for us, but we win on that. My opponent not really having any anti-air is helping me significantly. Most of that anti-air is tied up in his Fang, and the Fang are being dealt with fairly well. Man, look at that though. Always spawning these larvae out in the front. Very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. Good on this little melting point. Taking tons of... Oh, hey, the Mustang came out to give me a little bit of extra damage. Whew. Now this is looking very good for myself. I thought about getting these assault melting points, but no. The absorption module will help this guy survive a lot longer. I did want to bring them up to level 3 so that they can take a little bit more pounding from these guys. And I was like, okay, you know, the melting points are doing quite well for me. I can sell off some of these units and potentially grab another one. Potentially. If I sell this guy, I think he's worth, what, 200? Play out another melting point right here. Yep, I do eat that guy. Recycle him even. Oh, and instead I upgrade these Stormcallers. The Stormcallers are doing a great job. They're pushing out good, consistent damage, killing tons and tons of units. 113 units killed. That guy's fairly new. 61, 20, 8. Okay. Well, the brand new guy didn't do so hot, but he still earned himself a level, which means he was killing pretty big units. I did grab these the electromagnetic barrage here just because I want to stop these guys from having the larva. That larva is very, very annoying when they spawn out. And I was hoping that with this barrage, we might be able to catch a couple of these sandworms out with that and work from there. But let's move on to the battle. Missile barrage, once again, working out pretty well for us. Our Farseers are a little far out. That's something I need to think about, but they get surrounded pretty quick by friendly units to support them. Luckily, when our steel balls die, they're making more crawlers for me. So I'm hoping that that will help delay things. Jeez. This melting point, not in a great spot. This guy, in a pretty good spot. Able to deal some damage there. We're not working down these units nearly quick enough, though, and that is a lot of larvae coming out. Notice how my electromagnetic barrage just all went the wrong way? That's not what you want. So my guys are getting absolutely terminated. And this is a big problem, is that if I can't take out these sandworms or the larvae very quickly, I don't really have any other options. Because my melting point, I could grab the refractor ray on them, plus the absorption, and that would work, but geez, that's a lot of damage. Puts me in the danger zone. Not loving that. And I thought, okay, what can I do to get these guys to surface and take damage? I've mentioned it a couple of times in the past videos. Thank you for all my longtime viewers. I really do appreciate the support. Please like and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and it means a lot to me. But I figured, you know what? Tarantulas with spider mines. Each spider mine that spawns out will cause these guys to surface. And then if I can get a couple more units of crawlers, that could help me quite a bit. Just kind of, you know, stop the flow of these guys. Because, gee Louise, there's a lot of them. And the more larvae that surface, the more sandworms there are on the field, the bigger the problem I'm going to have. I mean, look at the view on this. What am I going to do here? I had a bit of cash left over, so I figured, you know what, why don't I use the missile to get rid of these Stormcaller shots, just because these guys aren't shooting down the missiles extremely effectively. So I was just thinking, you know what, maybe I do upgrade them. Still have a lot of cash. I haven't leaned into the extra attack on these guys just because I'm using a lot of damage over time units, or scaling damage here in the form of the melting points and steel balls. So I didn't really need to get those secondary upgrades. We don't see them too often. I do need to go through and change up my tech on a lot of these units. I do think the loose formation for crawlers is quite powerful. Probably a bit better than the acid, but something to think about. I do have my handy-dandy mama ship coming down here. I figured at the very least it might buy me a level or a turn. My opponent also grabbed the tarantulas with spider mines, but look at this. It causes these guys to come out way earlier, and now the melting points can start dealing with them. And out comes another one, which just keeps them up for that extra second so that my guys can start dealing a lot of damage, and these barrages can actually start hurting them. I still don't have the range on the melting points. I kept thinking about it, but the sandworms are coming to me. And I don't really need the range going that much further out. So, you know, figured why worry about it. I still have 2 melting points to my opponent's sandworms and a ton of units. The center range really went my way up, and not in a large part to this the Overlord. It was doing a little bit of work for me there. But actually, I equate the tarantulas. Just having that extra damage coming out of those spider mines really helped. So, GG. Good damage, good show. Even some of my melting steel balls, excuse me, able to survive that. Oh, that was a very, very close game. Victory, but more importantly, this brought me to... And we're in Silver League. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you again for all the support. It's really great getting back into YouTube. I've been really enjoying myself. If you want any other content, be sure to leave it in the comment section below, and we'll see you.